Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Shalom, Islam to all the Moors. Welcome back to the free astrotheology course. I am Dr. Yasapa. So our textbook is still The Celestial Ship of the North by Emma Valencia Straighton. This is volume 1 of a 2-volume series published in 1927. So let's pick it back up on page 100 and page 166. That's where we are. Give me 1 second. Let me get this together. All right. All right. So we'll start at the top. The cherubim or the cherubs were esoterically identical with the seraphim, being images or likeness of the celestial constellations. Quote, the heavenly host or cosmic angels, and having exquisite knowledge. So these cherubim are identical to the seraphim, and they are images or likenesses of the constellations. They're referred to as the heavenly hosts or cosmic angels. And having exquisite knowledge. Okay, so they have a huge amount of knowledge. It is said that the seraphim, it is said of the seraphim that they know the most, but the cherubim love the most. Okay? There's a difference. The difference between the two. The cherubim love the most, the seraphim know the most. Okay, y'all? Cruden, his name is spelled Cruden, in his concordance interprets the word cherub. Cherub spelled Cherub. Cherub. Keep that in mind. As meaning in Hebrew, quote unquote, the fullness of knowledge. The word cherub, the fullness of knowledge. And angels are so called, so angels are called cherubs, and angels are so called from their exquisite knowledge, fullness of knowledge, and were therefore used for the punishment of men. So, what's the relationship between having a fullness of knowledge and being used to punish men? What's that relationship about? And were therefore used for the punishment of men, okay, because they had this fullness of knowledge. These men who sin by affecting divine knowledge. So is that the relationship? The men sin by affecting divine knowledge. Now, sin, how are they defining sin? Sin in the biblioheliotext means the breaking of the law. Okay, so men sin by affecting divine knowledge. What does that mean? Right? Because, or where is this divine knowledge hidden in the covenant, in the law? So either it's hidden or they're using sin with a different meaning. They didn't clarify the meaning, so I have no idea. Cherub has the meaning of a serpent in a circle. KR is circle. KR means circle. And AU or AUB, AUB, serpent. Let me repeat it. Cherub has the meaning of a serpent in a circle, comma. KR is circle, comma. And AUB, AUB, serpent. So let's look at this. So cherub is spelled Krub. So they're saying this: Kraub. Same as they say in Vietnam. Cherub, Cherub. So these are the same words spelled differently. Okay, so cherub means serpent in a circle. All right. So we looked at this in the video I did before this. Let's go to Draco. I have to be more efficient because my battery is low. So let's just go to Draco instead of looking at all of the constellations in the north. Oh boy. All right. So here's Draco in the north. Do y'all see the serpent? All right. Draco in the north. In the book of Revelation, they refer to the serpent as the great dragon who drew down, I think it's a third of the heavens. Okay. And the third has to do with the length of Draco. All right. So this is Draco, one of the largest constellations, and it's in the North Celestial Pole region. So you guys know when the thigh of the Great Bear, today known as the Big Dipper, when it rotates around the celestial North Pole, that rotation is a circle, okay? Or at least it's conceptualized as a circle, a perfect circle, where the North Pole is in the center. So that would be, if you were to graph it out, it would be A comma B, right? Or X comma Y, 0, 0, 0, 0. And by the way, when the circle is in the center at point 0, 0, 0 comma 0, with that circle around there, so now we're looking at a system. Remember, our ancestors drew a boundary around that which was boundless. Excuse me. They drew a boundary around that which is boundless, and it's a circle, okay? And everything in the universe is within that circle. The center of the circle is A comma B, if we were to graph it out. Okay, that's its position. So A comma B in the center represents equilibrium. Equilibrium. So in other words, the forces that are pushing outward, there are forces that are pushing outward, and they are at equilibrium with the forces that are pushing inward. Okay, so this is where the Hermetic law of polarity was discovered by our ancient ancestors. Okay, yes, there's an equal and opposite force, right? So you can look at it this way. So imagine let's say my hand here is a circle. Let's say in the center of my circle of my hand, we'll say the circle, center of my palm. If I draw a line out to the edge, let's say that's the circumference of the circle, right? So the distance from the circumference to the center, going this way, from the center to the opposite end of the circumference, would be opposing forces, right? So in other words, let's do it this way. So if let's say this is a circle, this is the center of the circle. I draw a line down. This has let's say a length of A. Let's say now, same place here, same the center, in the opposite direction, draw a line. So that distance B would be equal. A and B are equal. right? So the radius and the diameter. So the radius and the diameter, of course, the radius is half the diameter. You guys get it? So there's always an equal and opposite force anywhere along any point on the system. So let's say if you have a line A B A comma, I'm sorry, let's say 0 comma 0 right here in the center of the circle, and this is the North Pole. The North Celestial Pole is at point 0 comma 0. Let's say if you move you or a constellation, anything, anywhere to any point here in this circle, you can actually find it, right? Because we studied the we didn't study it, but I presented to you the equation of a circle. So you can find that point, its location, right? You can solve for radius, you can solve for uh, diameter, you can solve for anything with that equation. Okay, so now the system, of course, would be what? Out of balance if you move it from 0 point 0. If you move it to another point anywhere, but the system will remain in equilibrium. Why? Because of the opposing forces, the equal but opposite forces. Okay, so that's one of the hermetic laws that our ancestors were able to discover from that. And then there's another one I'm going to show y'all later. Maybe I should show you now. No, I need to let my battery charge. This one has to do with squares, one has to do with polygons, and one has to do with triangles. Okay. And by the way, when we look at circles and well, we'll get to it. Let's continue with this because I'm getting off track. All right. So let's look at Adonai. This would be Hebrews, and your Strong's lexicon, it would be H 136 and H 113. Adonai, Jah. Adonai and Jah. Jah, of course, is the deity, YHWH in a contracted form, and the Y is replaced with the J here. Clear? And Adonai, with reference to deity, is Jah. And Jah, of course, is Strong's number, H, which is Hebrews H 1180, which is Baali. If you go there, it's going to tell you that Baali is a symbolic name for Yah. Okay, is a symbolic name for Yah or Jah, and of course, in religion, in dogmatic Christianity and Judaism, Baal is a demon, a devil. Okay, y'all. But in astrology, it's nothing but the sun, sun. Clear? Okay, so Adonai, Jah, the Hebrew El, or El, or Lord, has a biblical connection with the cherubim, as the capital Lord of Israel is spoken of as dwelling between the cherubim and the ark that was in the midst of them. So you guys remember the Phoenician top cross? The Phoenician top cross? The Greeks, if there ever was such a thing, changed it into the Tau, Tau, cross. Okay, you must keep in mind that this is also what? Roman numeral 10. This is also Roman numeral 10, and of course, 10 is 9. You get that, I think, on page 42 or 43 of C. and Bay's work, Clock of Destiny. I think it's volume 1. What else? Okay, so the Hebrew Il, of course, Il is one of the appellations of the Moors that moored them, bind them, identify them as heir apparents to the Americas and the adjoining islands, okay, as heirs to the America, and so therefore the birthright. However, Il is also associated with the SUN sun and the planet Saturn, okay, and of course Saturn traces back to Soot, the dog star, in the South Celestial Pole region. And get this, y'all, South Celestial Pole region represents principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, or don't steal. Everything good. Of course, the planet Saturn, of course, Soot gets planetarized into a planet, and Saturn gets uh, anthropomorphized into a demon devil. Okay, dark, black, evil, wicked. What can we learn from this? Now, remember, we are in the North Celestial Pole region at a time before there ever was any external deities, before there was a Baali, before there was a Osiris, before there ever was an Apollo or Jupiter, a moon, any of the solar deities, before they ever existed, millions, trillions of years before they ever existed. What are we getting at? I'm going to bring it to your attention in a second, okay? Adonai Jah, Hebrew Il or Lord, has a biblical connection with the cherubim as, and here's the connection, as the capital Lord, Lord of Israel, is spoken of as dwelling between the cherubim. All right, y'all? So in this X here, which represents the solar universe, or let's put it this way, at the intersection, there is the SUN sun, which is Baali, which is YHWH, which is Amun, Amen, Osiris. Okay, y'all? This is the sun. And then the 7 planets are orbiting around the sun. So now the sun is said to be the center of the universe. Do y'all see it? So all things sevens have their origin in the North Celestial Pole with the thigh of the Great Bear, today called the Big Dipper, the great representative of the Great Mother Typhoon. So what did they do? They remixed those sevens, right? Because remember, each of the 7 stars represented what? 7 suns also. The 7, was it the 7 sailors, amongst others, that protected the Garden of Eden? I could go back there. Maybe we'll go back later. Let me see. If I pull up on it. Hold on, y'all. So y'all come back to it because I didn't turn right to it. So we'll come back to it. I want to try to get through some of these paragraphs today. So let's keep it going. So basically what this is showing us is that circle 7 in the North Celestial Pole region was dropped down in elevation and put on the level of where the SUN sun is. okay, and with the planets. They just dropped it down. Y'all hear? They just dropped it down. It's just a remix. So let's keep going. So the relationship is this: Adonai Jah, Adonai Jah, the Hebrew El or Lord. Y'all got that? Adonai Jah is the Hebrew El. El again is the SUN son, and guess what? The SUN son is the SON son. The SUN son traces back to Sut, SUT, Sut the dog star in the south. El also traces back to Saturn, and Saturn, of course, traces back to Sut the dog star in the south. So the SUN is the SON. Everybody, are you following who you are? Do you see who you are? He continues. He continues. So the Most High dwells between the cherub. This is the top cross. So in these four corners, these four regions, keep in mind, four regions. This is the top cross. So there's a cherub in each of these regions. Is that clear? Now remember, we learned from the paragraph above, the cherubim or cherubs were esoterically identical with the seraphim, being images or likenesses of the celestial constellations. Those there we have it. There we have it, right? There are constellations in each of the four regions. So now let's look at the other cross, which is the traditional Christian cross with the vertical and horizontal line representing the solstitial line, June 22nd to December 22nd, and the horizontal line, which is the equinoctial line, representing March 22nd and September 22nd. So this is the traditional Christian cross. So, Il, Adonai, Jah, Jehovah, Jehovah, Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahu, any way you want to pronounce or spell that name, the name of this solar deity, Osiris, Amun, Amin, whatever you want to call it, is where? Here dwells where the two lines intersect. So we have north, south, east, and west. Okay, y'all? So we have four regions. Four regions. So there's a cherub in each region. So there's a cherub in the months from spring to summer. There's a cherub, and then from summer to the fall, there's a cherub. Fall to winter, there's a cherub there, and winter to spring, there's a cherub there. Okay, so the Most High dwells between the cherubim. So these are the four cherubs or the four living creatures in Ezekiel chapter 1 and Revelation, I believe, is verse 4. Now let's go back up to the North Celestial Pole. So take that circle, 360-degree circle, put a vertical line through it and a horizontal line to it. We divide it into four sections. The intersections or the angle at the intersecting lines, the angle at the intersecting lines are 90-degree angles. So they are squares. Okay, so we have the circle and the square. This is very significant. Very, very significant. We're going to get back to the squares, okay? But I want to point that out. Now, in the circumpolar zodiac, one of those squares were occupied by the hippopotamus, a cherub. A hippopotamus, another square was occupied by initially a bird called the phoenix. The phoenix, it was later changed to a lion. Another of those four regions was occupied by an ape. I have to review this. That's actually surprising for me. And then the other, an alligator. So the hippo represents uh, the Great Mother Typhoon. The alligator represents Earth. The ape, I believe, is air, and the lion, fire. So initially, it's the phoenix representing fire. Okay, so that concept was moved down into the solar zodiac. All right, and to this day, July, the month of the year that has the most intense uh, heat, is referred to as the lion or the lion of the tribe of Judah. It's clear. And let's see, the hippopotamus, the crocodile, the ape, hippopotamus. Is it alligator? I don't remember if it's alligator or crocodile. I think it's alligator. I don't remember. One of those, y'all. Phoenix the lion, Alex, hippopotamus, crocodile, or alligator. Phoenix, which is the lion. That's three. And primate. Oh, ape. Ape, not, yeah, ape. There's one other one that survives into the solar zodiac. When it comes to my mind, I'll share it with y'all, okay? But anyway, so we see how the remix was done. So basically, y'all, what are we doing? Right now, this is part of the backward engineering or reverse engineering of how the solar zodiac was set up, along with its mythologies and symbology. Okay, y'all? That's essentially what's happening here. Okay, so we're page 162nd, 66, middle paragraph. All right, so Adonai, Jah, and Il um, dwell between the cherubim and the ark. What's the ark, y'all? The ark is the celestial ship of the north. When you deal with the circumpolar zodiac, when you deal with Sabian time, all right, that was in the midst of them. This was the ark, that point of covenant between heaven and earth. That point of covenant between heaven and earth, the constellation of the quote unquote the thigh. Did you get that? To read it again. Y'all pay close attention. Pay close attention. This was the ark, that point of covenant. That's a contract. This refers to what, y'all? This and that sentence references back to what? The Most High, between the cherubim. Do y'all see that? This is referring to Adonai, Jah, and Il that dwells between the cherubim. This was the ark, that point of covenant between heaven and earth. Think about that. The contract between heaven and earth is Adonai, Jah, and Il, who are the capital Lord, Lord. Do you know who you are? Do you see who you are? See, there is mind that exists outside of the body, a universal mind. A universal mind. And as a matter of fact, that brings something to mind about what C.M. Bay says. Let me see if I can pull it up. C.M. Bay, Clock of Destiny. A lot of y'all, a lot of you know where this is going, but be patient, okay? Be patient. All right. I don't remember if it's volume. Maybe it's volume 2. I don't remember. Let me check volume 2 first. Hold on. Oh man. So y'all listen. Uh, we have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind, right? Which is a big hint. You know, this is so much fun. You know, being able to go through this and put things together and realize things, see things in a different way from time to time. All right. Uh, let's see. I'm close. One second, y'all. Let's flip through these pages. I should have this stuff memorized, y'all, to be quite honest. Okay, so C.M. Bay, Clock of Destiny, volume 1, page 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. So let's do it. All right. I'm just going to start at the top. All right. First paragraph. The code of mathematics, scaling from 0 to 9, and 3, 6, 9, and 12. We've been dealing with this like crazy, right, y'all? 3, 6, 9, and 12 constitute the ever present code of law, which never grows old or ancient. Neither water, earth, air, and heat, light, or electricity will ever grow old or ancient. So we're dealing with the four corners, right? We were dealing with water, air, what was it? Water and heat or fire, right? Water, earth, air, heat, or fire. Okay. Neither woman, listen, neither woman, sons, and the letters of the alphabet will ever grow old or ancient. Neither woman, neither the great mother typhoon, neither the hermetic law of gender in its function of birthing, rebirthing, transformation, transforming, reproducing, producing. Neither the great mother typhoon, neither her son Soot, her only begotten son. Soot, the dog star in the south, where the south celestial pole region represents love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, denominated a different way, natural law of don't steal, will ever grow old or ancient. In other words, it ain't going out of style. It ain't going nowhere. It's not going to deteriorate and become something else. It's always there. The issue is, do you perceive it? Do you acknowledge it? Do you recognize it? Okay? Are you using it in your life? Neither woman, sons, and the letters of the alphabet will ever grow old or ancient. See, we need the letters of the alphabet to communicate, verbally communicate. That's what we have a voice box for, right? Specifically for that. That's what we're designed to do. And the muscles in our mouth, right? Lips and tongue is for verbal communication. Also, the code of mathematics, scaling from 0 to 9. We need that because mathematics is the language of nature. Mathematics is the language of discovery and innovation, the language of science, the language of technology, the language of engineering. Mathematics, scaling from 0 to 9. Let's continue. Do you see now why we're going to discuss the triangle, the square, and polygons? Do you see the importance now of a 6 pointed star, of a 5 pointed star? If you don't, we're going to get to it, okay? Let's continue. C.M. Bay continues to say, the whole of which comprise the one great body of the ever present living truth, which therefore is not a mystery and neither a secret. So, wait a minute, y'all. Mysteries and secrets have to do with what? What context do we always hear mysteries? Well, we hear about the Egyptian mystery schools and dogmatic religion, mysteries and secrets associated with them. Next paragraph. All secret orderisms involving religion, symbology, and mystic passwordism are our own ignorance of the reality which dwell within us and about us. This is what we're talking about, y'all. Circle 7. The Circle 7, Clock of Destiny. Hello. Hello. Hi there. Hello. She get everything up to the other. Again? She is summer always. Yeah. See, what's her name? Me? I'm Dr. Yasapa. What's your name? Is that? Oh, pleasure to meet you. I like your dress. It's very beautiful. See, for all we see. Hmm? See, all we. Okay. Your mom really. Yes. I don't understand. Hmm? Again? Yeah. She meet already so maybe now part of you. What? I don't know. Is it right already say supplement? I speak English, only English. See some BBC. Hmm? Some BBC. Okay. BBC. Hmm? What language? Vietnamese? Can you write it? I'm sorry. Do you want to say hello? You can just do like this. If you like. I'm live streaming. Hmm? Live streaming. Oh. Yeah. Me see some Mario TV. Sing only with Simpson only. Jim Premium is an honest. No, maybe. Secretly, not maybe. I don't know. Scenery how many needs. Hey,
missing from all your history.
Okay.
Why seems to be always listening? Cinema out of you is in miss.
Okay.
Listen me for his and hear you.
Yes.
In my only retreat on my case.
Okay.
How are you? Send if you raise on you. See the on you. Have you? Serena always in his how many him right on me. Standing the center of Simi in face sun. Free Vietnam.
Vietnam. Yes.
Simi một hôm nay Simi si không chi promo my dad's music. So, si sorry how my only media man so gap patch Simi only media thing. New play from my only Jamie is an already your mom that's already some things that I pray already doing. It's showing at home. It's showing at home.
Okay.
So we already
I don't understand. I'm sorry.
so we have we survive pretty.
Yes.
We try only making me such happy.
I don't know, sweetie.
So how people treat pieces. Tell me what we understand. Here we meet it.
I don't understand.
Somebody right how to make it.
Okay.
Yeah, so good. Starting at home, we see the fight of meter related. These are the two races separate island. This several season the Artemis free.
Okay.
Similarly,
I don't know.
we were all we watched. Kaya ako na yung tanong ha. Since eating from
I don't know, sweetie. I'm sorry.
simple him her
I don't understand.
at your truly,
Huh?
you recipe, see subside,
Me? Or this?
supreme army, tea, set, supreme army malavis in the way, favorite at supreme be rather her. Supreme home the medium to tell me eat.
Outside?
Yes, I can come from hits. Took that tea.
I don't know.
So
I'm sorry.
so no conferences, separate, happy readers. Happy Halasa.
Me? I'm happy, yes. I'm happy.
Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy Halasa. Super hungry.
Hungry? You? Or me?
She's wrong.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm not hungry.
She remembered it said eyes. So the mean shiny animation. Oh. Yes?
Okay, yeah.
So you know PB is army because okay? Thinking how many using me and third presentation. Super on.
I don't know.
So you know
Yes.
me? Question well yesterday. Yeah. Hello.
I don't know.
Ayrıca hangi bitkiler sıkıntı together?
I don't know, sweetie. I'm sorry.
Moving it that's gonna hold for you. He's that sorry. He's so much hatred. So I mean kiss for him he.
You can do like this. You can say hello. It's okay. Just do like this if you want.
Goodbye.
Don't be shy. It's okay.
So the calling is safe the hallway. So we don't have a hallway so we did. So then the pretty home so minutes to so we mix and no I really hallway. Simply Siri. Siri, R-E, Siri.
Are you this?
That's it. Yes.
Are you this? Like this?
Sorry, Miss Siri. Siri, ho. Siri, I'll Siri, 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 I'm just again. Siri, ho.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Siri,
What's your name?
Manila.
Hmm?
Manila.
What grade are you
Siri, ho. City, please.
Cold? Oh,
Siri, Ito.
yeah, that's why because I'm cold.
Siri,
I'm also cold. That's why I put.
How many free TV in Sweden? Some how many some pretty how many
Oh no, I don't know.
From TV is a regular no? So we không đi dinh độc lập.
Huh?
So we không đi dinh độc lập.
I don't know.
Sweden không read to me to run or we're waiting to do our minute of good. To the know.
No, live stream.
How there is from there was when I made it. Come you?
Huh? I don't know.
How should we all should be scared?
Hmm?
Scared?
English? No.
Swimming home with you?
Do you learn English in school? Oh, that's you.
How would you hurry get out of the nieces? Or you reading how would you? So maybe to drink all many they want to basic picture. Harvard.
I don't know.
So maybe on the release it has straight in heat training degree. Get my failure. So from me to leave 3 hours
No.
Yes, see? She should read all me read this.
This is
Wow, could you move to police?
yeah. Do you take English in school?
Singapore police in Central British.
No English in school? English class?
No, wait.
No.
No. So we don't know how to
This book is about
So we can be see.
eating. I'm full.
Screen it. So we how we can
Yeah. Cafe.
cà phê.
Yeah.
Sao không ăn đồ ăn sáng đi?
Hả?
Sao không ăn đồ ăn sáng đi? Sao không lấy đồ ăn kìa? Trong đây cũng có đồ ăn mà.
No.
Tại sao?
Hả?
Tại sao?
Hả?
Tại sao?
I don't know.
Cho nên đừng hỏi mình chúng đi free.
I don't know.
Free. Con đấy cũng sống ở Mỹ nhưng mà cho vì ông đội con mất nên con phải về lại Việt Nam nên mẹ
Cafe Vietnam.
yes
Yeah.
nên con phải về Việt Nam để thăm ông nội rồi nhưng mà rồi bà ngoại con đã xin con học ở đây luôn nên không có về với ba mẹ được nữa và không có thể thăm em được. May là mẹ có gửi em mẹ nhờ người bạn mẹ ấy nên dẫn em qua đi chơi. Chỉ nhưng mà nghỉ hè thì con sẽ về lại ở Mỹ bởi vì ở Mỹ nên con cũng có nhiều công việc lắm do vì còn phải học thêm kèm ở dưới bên đó nữa nên cô giáo con tên là Fritz Nên cô giáo con rất là hiền. Nên dạy con rất là nhiều thứ nên con cũng quên mất tiêu rồi. Nên không nhớ lại nữa.
I don't understand.
Train him to be trained though. Train him to be. Shall we how we bring? Shall we how we? Siri. Shall we how we be to how we?
Me go outside?
Yes.
No.
Siri how we đi?
Hả?
Tại sao không ra ngoài ngồi mà đợi ngồi trong đây? Lý do. Lý do tại sao? Không sợ ma hay gì? Không sợ ma hả? Trên được. Rồi kia một ông trong cái dream nữa. Hai mình say some phải biết thì how mình usually get through. Should remember all we have free the free on the mind. Mình có. Khi học phải mình khai with how mình see you. Mi ở bên ngoài cũng có người Mi. Hiểu không? Ở ngoài cũng có một người Mỹ nhưng mà người khác hơn chú. Tại vì người đó là người da trắng và chú là người da đen. Hiểu không? Chú ấy mặc đồ khác hơn chú và không mang theo mắt kính. Chú không có râu nhưng mà người kia còn râu nên khác hơn chú. Chú ấy giống như là già 30 tuổi rồi hay gì đó. Còn chú bao nhiêu con không có biết. Vì con cũng hỏi chú ấy rồi thì chú ấy kêu là 30 tuổi. Tại vì chú ấy cũng là một người Mỹ ở dân bên Mỹ nhưng mà chú ấy cũng phải về đây cũng thăm bố mẹ nè, bố mẹ ở bên Mỹ. Tại vì từ lúc đầu á thì con sống bên Mỹ cũng vui lắm, cái gì cũng được đi xem qua nhà bạn con chơi nhưng mà bữa nay các con bạn qua đời rồi. Cái gì bị bệnh khuyết tật đấy chứ không có đi được nữa và chết đi luôn. Vì bác sĩ kêu chỉ có sống 2 tháng này thôi là chết rồi. Nên rồi bà con chết, con thì về Mỹ con thăm. Thì rồi lúc mà về Mỹ xong bà ngoại con kêu là ông nội mất nữa. Và thành ra con có 2 người mất luôn. Tại vì cái người bạn đó là mất cũng là cháu của ông nội con. Tại vì người đó tên là Lisa nên người đó cũng chết sớm luôn rồi nên không còn sống nữa. Kiểu tối á chị con ngủ chỉ có nghe tiếng bạn ấy qua nói chuyện với con rồi thức dậy thì không thấy đâu nữa. Kiểu như là con nhớ bạn ấy nên không có được gặp lại bạn ấy.
Where's your mom? Tell your mom to come here.
Mẹ con sống ở bên Mỹ nên yes, ở bên Mỹ con cũng về đây được. Bởi vì mẹ con có công việc ở bên đó. Vì bà ngoại con xin mẹ con qua đây để thăm ông nội con mà không có được. Tại vì ông nội con tại vì mẹ với ông nội con không có thích nhau á. Tại vì bữa trước ông nội con á uống rượu say nên về chửi rủi lui á. Để mẹ con tức nên không có về được. Với lại cha con cũng là người Mỹ, mẹ con là người Việt Nam còn cha con là người Mỹ. Nhưng mà bữa trước cha con đi rồi nên về Việt Nam đây này, đi làm xa rồi đi về Bắc đó làm luôn rồi đi lái con tàu kiểu như là lấy con tàu á để mình cất cá nhưng mà có một lần là ba con đi bệnh viện luôn vì bắt cá bị cái một con cá một nguyên cây nên
Where's your mommy? Tell your mom to come here. You introduce me to your mom.
She's not honey mom.
Your dad.
That's
your mother, your father. You tell them come here.
3 harmony between the 3 harmony. So we harmony A, B harmony, and every. How many years old?
Hello. Hi. It's your mommy?
No.
No, not your mom.
Mommy opening eyes. Got the lamp vào ngoại cháu hiểu không?
What did she say? What did she say?
Try me to repeat. See hiểu không? You say name what's your name? What's your name?
Là ba name Hạnh á, là bà ngoại nó.
Hi, Hannah.
Trời ơi, vô đây biết còn nói chuyện luôn, chết thì chứ. Đi về, đi ra, đi, ông, bước ra, lẹ lên,
No.
bước ra,
No.
đi ra lẹ lên,
No.
nói một tiếng nghe không?
Right. Goodbye.
Bye bye. Bye bye, Hannah. The people are so very friendly here. Let me take a look at these comments. So Felix writes, the dragon. Felix writes, well, that's 42 minutes ago. My bad, Felix. The dragon, not the bad guy. He's a protector. The dragon of Yah. Felix continues. Hippo on Dendra zodiac in Egypt next to the thigh of calf or a bull. Absolutely. So the calf or the bull is Hathor. And Hathor, of course, is the great mother Typhoon, who is represented by the thigh of the great bear, today called the Big Dipper. Of course, the thigh of the great bear is in the constellation Ursa Major. And so the big lie that oh, Felix writes, I posted this last stream. Okay, Felix, my bad, I didn't see it, bro. The big lie that the Solarites told regarding the big event when Moses comes out of the mountain, he has the tablets. He looks and he sees Aaron, his brother, and the children of Israel celebrating having made a golden calf. So the Solarites tell the story this way, which is a lie, which is an absolute lie, intentional deceit. They say that, and by the way, this lie has to do with time. It has to do with time and how they reckon time to this day. Now remember, the golden calf is actually Hathor. Hathor of the circumpolar zodiac or the Sabian period, where our ancestors had no external gods, no dogmatic religious belief systems existed. But the Solarites remixed that. And here's the lie. Moses comes out of the mountain. As I said, he sees them, catches them celebrating, having made a golden calf. The Solarites say that the Israelites did not want to leave the zodiacal age of Taurus. Now, that never made sense to me completely. I was suspicious of that. They didn't want to leave the zodiacal age of Taurus, so they made a golden calf, right? They wanted to go back to Egypt, stay in the zodiacal age of Taurus. Did y'all hear that? What does that mean? What does it mean? Well, let's put two and two together. Time. Archaeologists, historians, astrologers, they date events based upon the zodiacal age that they occurred, which are derived at by artifacts, by symbols that they find. In this case, in this case, Taurus the bull representing the zodiacal age of Taurus. The end of Taurus, Taurus has ended or is about to end. Well, actually, it's the transition period. End of Taurus, transitioning into Aries the Ram. Okay? So now you can count the zodiacal ages due to the precession of the equinoxes, which we've already discussed. So a zodiacal age is approximately 2,160 years or thereabout. Do y'all see how this lie, once discovered, creates all kind of problems now for the Solarites? See, you can count back, let's say, from Pisces, 2,160 years, right? Pisces, Aries, 2,160 years. Taurus, the bull, 2,160 years. Do y'all see how it go? And you can date events. So line those up with the reigns of the pharaohs, and all of this stuff is coming from the Bible, primarily from the Bible. The reigns of the pharaohs takes you back 6,000, 6,500 years or thereabout. And according to the Bible, the 7,000 year is the 7 days, and then the Messiah comes back and executes vengeance according to the dogmatic Christian Christian doctrine. So now, y'all, scholars, since we know that Taurus the bull is not Taurus the bull, the zodiacal age, but rather Hathor. Hathor, the great mother typhoon. So we can scrap that whole thing. Well, let's continue with the story about Moses finding the people celebrating having created the golden calf. Golden because of the sun. Okay, Baali, that we talked about earlier. And so it's golden according to the Solarites, the dogmatic religious doctrine. The bull is golden because the sun is gold. Everybody see that? And so now Moses, and this is the part that really didn't make sense to me. So Moses, according to, I know y'all, if you follow my work, I've said this a million times. This is the astrology of the Old Testament, or the lost word regained. Of course, the lost word is astrology, and astrology talks about the celestial bodies. So the celestial bodies are governed by laws. So that lost word are the Hermetic laws, or the laws governing the universe. Okay, the major, which are the seven Hermetic laws, and of course, then the minor laws that govern the universe. Okay, y'all? So if I remember correctly, I don't remember what the page, maybe the page is maybe 34, in the 30s, somewhere around there. The author talks about how Moses made a big mistake by leading the people not just away from the zodiacal age of Taurus, telling them, hey, you shouldn't worship Taurus, you shouldn't want to stay in Taurus, but Moses led them into all of the 12 zodiac signs. And how did he do it? Through the snake. And that snake represented the ecliptic. Okay, so now the people are, this is according to their story. Now the people are not just in trouble because they're worshiping the bull. not wanting to leave Taurus, not wanting to leave Egypt, the zodiacal age of Taurus, not wanting to leave Egypt, but Moses led them into the full 12 zodiacal, or the full 12 modern day solar zodiac. That never made sense to me. But now it makes total sense because Moses led them out of the Sabian period and into the solar period, the solar zodiac with this dogmatic religions. Y'all heard? Let me see if I can find that page number just so y'all can. But I've done other videos on this, y'all. Y'all can check the other video. I don't remember what video number it was. I know it's. Hold on. The little girl didn't want to leave. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, page. Here it is, page 38. Page 37 and 38. I'm not going to go through it. I'll show it on the screen. But you guys, scholars, you should go back and read this. Be clear on this. Okay, be very clear on what happened here. This is different from what they have taught us. Well, I guess I shouldn't. If you're lucky enough to escape, if you're lucky enough to escape dogmatic religion and you start to learn about the astrotheology, the books, even this is rare. What y'all reading right here is rare, hard to come across in other writings. What's hard to come across is the mistake that Moses made, okay? Now, they're saying that it was innocent. Now, did Moses actually do this, or is this Jeremiah 8:8? That's for you to decide. I'm just telling y'all the story, okay? So here's the text. Y'all pause it on the replay. That's for you to decide. So don't get mad at me, okay, for showing y'all this information. Okay? So page 37 and 38. All right? The words I'm going to read on page 36. Page 36. The words Al, A-L, Il, Allah, Elohim. So Elohim is El, right? And El is Al. Are all words signifying great and only God, the central sun that dwells between the cherubim. Y'all heard? Of course, Al and Il are two of the appellations of the Moorish Americans that identify them as bloodline heir apparents to the land, to the American continent and adjoining islands. All right. He continues in the Arab, in the Arabian, Hebraic, and Egyptian languages. So we are. All right, just families, one nation of autochthonous Moors. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, having a celestial origin. Okay. From the last name Moses obtained all his knowledge, for he is stated to have been, quote unquote, learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, not only military and metaphysical, but also astrological and occult. Occult means hidden, therefore secret, therefore mystery. At the time, Moses is described as becoming the leader of the Hebrews. The sun sun was already merging into Aries. So they're saying that they were leaving the zodiacal age of Taurus. We know this is not true because the bull is Hathor. The bull is Hathor. They made a bull. They made a golden calf of Hathor. So this time is all messed up. This time ain't right. That's the point. The time is not right based upon their calculation. This is the curveball that they threw. Thanks for pointing that out, Felix. All right. So at the time, Moses is described as becoming the leader of the Hebrews. The SUN sun was already merging into Aries. All right. And the sacred ram was already set up in the temples of Isis. How about they are probably already in Aries? That's why the ram was already set up in Aries. And as the kings of Egypt were taught in these sciences of the priests and the doctors, so we find that the king, who was a true mercurial man with all the wonderful attributes of Buddha, who's a sun deity, right? Who was from the sign of Gemini or the twins, zodiac sign Gemini, zodiacal age of Gemini is when Buddha had his time. In other words, Buddha was worshipped all over the world and consequently ruled by Mercury and was the SUN sun in that sign. So Buddha was a sun in the zodiacal age of Gemini, and which afterward passed into the bull or Taurus when Bel, or the bull was set up. Hebrew Strong's number H1180. Remember Adonai Adon, Hebrews 136 and Hebrews 113. Is it coming together, y'all? So time reckoned by the sun and the solar zodiac is told by the progression or the precession rather of the equinoxes. And each zodiacal age is 2,160 years. So what we're seeing right now is that their time is off. And indeed, they did seek to change times, and seasons. Their time is off, right? Their time is off. It wasn't Taurus, the zodiacal age. It was Hathor. They did not want to leave Sabian time or the Sabian period. As soon as the SUN sun enters or is emerged or it is to emerge in Aries, or this is saying the sun is uh, every first day of the year of the natural year, which is March 22nd or thereabout, the first day of spring, the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. As soon as the sun enters or is to emerge in Aries or the Lamb, then the holy keeper is called Ram Isis. Ram Isis or Ramesses. So when so if it's the zodiacal age of Aries, if you go outside in the morning when the sun rises or just before sunrise, rather 5:30 a.m., 5:45 a.m., look to the east. Look to the east gate, just above the horizon, you'll see the zodiac sign Aries just before the sun rises. So every first day of spring for the next 2,160 years or so, for the whole zodiacal age of Aries, first day of spring, you look out there, like I just said, you'll see Aries at the horizon. All right. Until finally you no longer see it because the next zodiacal age is at the horizon due to the precession of the due to the precession of the equinoxes, which accounts for all of the changes that happen during each zodiacal age. Okay, we talked about this in the last 4, 5, 6 videos. Okay, y'all. So let me continue taking you through this scam. As soon as the sun enters or is to emerge into Aries or the Lamb, then the holy keeper is called Ram Isis, or Ramesses, or keeper of the sacred ram. And as the SUN sun had gotten to the latter part only of Taurus, or rather Al, Al, in parentheses it says capital God, God the Son, not SON, was in Tau. Tau, of course, Tau is the Canaanite Phoenician Ta, or the ancient Ibaryath Ta, and all Ta, in other words, bull Ta. I'm going to show this to y'all, okay? Al, capital God, God the Son, the SUN Son. Al means God the Son, the SUN Son, was in Ta, Tau, and Al hyphen Ta, Tau, was the center of the Tau or Ta cross. Do y'all understand? The Most High dwelled between the cherubim. This is the Ta cross, Canaanite, Phoenician, Canaanite. This is the Tau, same cross remixed by the Greeks. All right? Same cross remixed by the Greeks. Here it is. So what is this telling us? Al, A-L, the God, was in Tau or Tau. And Altau, this is altar, y'all. This is altar, right? And Altau was the center of the Tau cross. Okay? Al, El, Il, Adon, Adonai, with reference to deity, dwells in the center where the two lines intersect. If you're looking at it this way, it's what? The four corners within the circle or the squared circle. Do y'all see it? The 90-degree angles of the squared circle. Everyone see that? Everyone see that? So this is where the word altar comes from. Al is God, the SUN Son. Tau, of course, is the bull, Taurus. Taurus, Taurus. So the God, SUN Son, bull, the bull god, the sun in the zodiac sign of Taurus. All right? He continues, and all Tau was the center of the Tau cross or the Tau cross, and the true points of the cross fixed at that time were, see, and the true cross fixed at that time were, here we go, y'all. Tell me if this sounds familiar. And the true points of the cross fixed at that time were first or right ascension, that's RA, right ascension, RA. Remember we talked about the circle. Remember the last 3 or 4 videos we've been talking about a circle, radius and area. I gave you the equations. I gave you the equation of a circle. I showed you the equation to find the radius and also to find area. But but in addition to pi, pi, pi. I went over that. right? We went over that. The relationship of circumference, area, diameter, uh, did I say radius? So all of these things in pi. This is why the square, the triangle, and the polygons become very important. So let's continue. Do y'all see the games that they're playing here? First or right ascension, the earthly sign Tau, which is Taurus the bull, or the calf or bull. Next, Leo, the lion, a fiery sign, then Scorpio. Okay, then Scorpio, a watery sign, and then Aquarius and Aries sign. Okay, so now the calendar, the timing that they set up, we found a major problem with it. We found a huge problem with it because this is not talking about Taurus, the bull, and the zodiacal age of Taurus. No, it's talking about Sabian, the Sabian period, the Great Mother Typhoon. We've just uncovered a huge, huge lie. I might have to keep going with this, y'all. So, of course, y'all should remember that those are the four living creatures in Ezekiel and Revelation 4. Here we. I got to read this. You know what? Let me just keep going, y'all. Let me put this in the record. The great fixed star Aquila in Scorpio, or the eagle. If my memory serves me correctly, this eagle uh, may be the phoenix, is used instead of this term Scorpio. Vary these 4 points. Remember the 4 points? The 4 living creatures? Vary these 4 points of the zodiac as you may. There is always an earthly, fiery, watery, and an airy sign on each arm of the cross. Did y'all get that? That's taken right from the North Celestial Pole, right? With the hippo, the ape, the phoenix bird, later becomes the lion, and then the alligator. All right? Representing, the earth and the water and all of that, the air that we talked about. Okay? So he continues, and the point of intersection, the common focus, that's what we're talking about, right? That forms the 90-degree angles. The common focus is the sun, the central fire, which at the time of Moses was central from the cross formed of the head of a bull. We know this is not true because it was Hathor, the Great Mother Typhoon, the Sabian period. All right, he continues, head of a lion, head of an eagle. The eagle is Aquila, all right, which is Scorpio, and the head of a man, Aquarius. Now, what else can we say about this? Well, the author tells us that when this was happening, there was already a temple of Ram Isis, which is Ramesses, which is Aries. Okay, y'all? So it wasn't Taurus. Well, that's just another proof or another indication that it was not Taurus. Okay, y'all? We're in the Sabian period. If you want to go with their line of reasoning, they were leaving one period going to another. So they were leaving the Sabian period in the zodiacal age of Aries. This is what it sounds like. He continues. Okay, so he talks. So let's continue. So Aries, the water bearer, these were designated as the cherubim in the Old Testament. Now remember, what are the cherubim? We just went through that. CR is means circle, and AUB means serpent. Circle with the serpent in it. Draco in the North Celestial Pole region. And the sign of R, capital A, or right ascension being in Tau, being in Taurus. So springtime beginning in Taurus, zodiacal age of Taurus, Al, A-L hyphen, A-L-L-A-H. So let's look at this again. Al, A-L, sun god, S-U-N, sun god. Allah, so Al hyphen Allah, sun god, arm, leg, arm, head, or almighty. Correlate that to C.M. Bay when he refers to us as the supreme gods in the clock of destiny. The sons of the woman are the supreme gods, right? Okay, y'all? So Al hyphen Allah or all hyphen mighty, the sun god mighty, was all hyphen Tau, A-L hyphen T-A-U. So the sun god rising at 5:30 to 5:45 a.m. on the first day of spring, March 22nd, thereabout, in the zodiacal sign of Taurus the bull. Okay, so Al Ta or Ta cross. Here's the Ta cross, Canaanite Phoenician, Ta cross, Egyptian, I'm sorry, uh, Greek, Grecian. This is the Tau, T-A-U. Same, Ta. All right. Just as we say now, since Aries the Lamb has become the sign of R, capital A, or right ascension. Okay, so in other words, springtime begins, first day of spring, same story I just told, begins in Aries. Okay, so let's continue. Al hyphen Allah or Almighty is the lamb or ram. So Al hyphen Allah, the sun god, arm, leg, arm, head, is almighty in whatever zodiacal age the first day of spring occurs in. And it will occur in all 12, according to the story. Is everyone following? Do you see who you are now? Let's continue. And so handed down to us is the grand sign of all the fixed signs. Here's the grand sign of all fixed signs. Listen, all A-L hyphen T-A-U. The grand sign of all fixed signs is Al or all, A-L hyphen T-A-U. Taurus the bull. So the first day of spring beginning in the zodiacal year of Taurus the bull is the grand sign of all the fixed signs. The central God, the central capital God at the time of the molten calf when Moses came out of the mountains with the 2 tablets, with the law, the old covenant, as they say, and he found the people had made a golden calf. And all our modern churches and Masonic lodges place their altars or altars centrally, still named from the sign of the bull, Baal of Chaldee. And from them the Egyptians, the Hebrews, and the cross, the ta cross, or cruce, or Christians. What did we just learn? What did he just tell us? Taurus, Taurus the bull, is the grand sign because it represented the end of Sabian period, the end of the Sabian period, and the preeminence of the solar period. In other words, the Solarites, Osiris, the followers of Osiris, destroyed those of our ancient foremothers and forefathers who kept the mindset of their ancient forefathers. Circle 7, clock of destiny, natural law, don't steal, right? Don't injure anyone. The workshop of the mind, reckoning reality and time by the stars or celestial cycles. No external gods. Cooperation, peace, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The circumpolar zodiac, the great mother typhoon. This represents the time when the followers of Osiris crushed the Sabian period. They ended the Sabian period and ushered in the solar period with its current or present solar zodiac and solar dogmatic religions. Temple of Light Sage writes, the cherubim are the fallen angels that were the archons, the ones that made an oath to IMT Herman. Okay, thanks for that info. I'm not aware, so I can't speak on it, but much appreciated. If you want to write something else, go ahead, put it in there, and I'll read it out. So does everyone understand? Is it clear? Is it clear? So, I may as well show it again. I showed it in another video. I showed that Hathor is a bull. So let me show it again. So Hathor, the Greeks called Hathor Apis. Now I'm getting this from volume 2. The Greek that the Greeks called Hathor Apis. I'm getting that from the Celestial Ship of the North, volume 2. Let me see. Huh. So give me 1 second, y'all. Here we are. Let's see. Do y'all see? This is Hathor. This is Hathor. Can y'all see that? See what it says? Hathor at Metropolitan Museum. So here's the bull with the sun disk between its horns. Hathor. Okay, so they deceived us, straight up lied to us. They had to in order to get their lie across, right? This is the magic of the pen, narrative transportation, okay? And what you don't know can hurt you. It can hurt you. This is Hathor. So they left the Sabian period. They didn't leave the zodiacal age of Taurus. They left the Sabian period. And that's what they wanted to hide from you. All right? Moses led the people into the solar zodiac with its solar dogmatic religions, symbolized by Moses and the snake. Was it the copper snake, y'all? Which represents the ecliptic. In other words, reckoning time and reality by the sun. S-U-N, sun. Okay? Dirty bastards. Dirty, dirty bastards. So y'all can see my search term, Hathor Bull. All right. Dirty. Do y'all see? Now, of course, Hathor is the great mother typhoon. Remixed. Remixed in what, y'all? Into the solar zodiac. That's why she has the sun between the horns. Now get a load of this. This is Wikipedia, but you guys can further research this. What does it say? Read that. Y'all read this. Hold on. This is a little bit difficult. Hold on. I'm just gonna take a selection out and read it. Okay, you guys, scholars, you can you can pause the video on the replay and read all of this. All right. So here it is again. One more again. Okay, so let me just read a selected of the part I'm interested in. Okay, as a sky deity, she, that's Hathor, was the mother or consort of the sky god Horus and the sun god Ra, R-A. But in this case, it's not capital R, capital A. It's capital R, lowercase a, Ra, as in sun god or classification of deities like Osiris, Amun Ra, all of that. Both of whom were connected with kingship, and thus she was the symbolic mother. See, this is a remix of the Great Mother Typhoon. She was the symbolic mother of their earthly representations, or of their earthly representatives, the pharaohs. She was one of the several goddesses who acted as the eye of Ra, Ra's feminine counterpart. And in this form, she, that's Hathor, had a vengeful aspect that protected him from his enemies. This is clearly the Great Mother Typhoon remixed into the solar zodiac. Is it clear? Uh, Felix writes, Jupiter is in between the horns of Taurus right now. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Felix. So y'all see what's happening? The big scam that they put on us? The huge scam that they put on us? Let's continue to the part I wanted to bring back to you guys' attention. This is on page 37. 3 plus 7 is 10, and 10, of course, is 9. You go read page 42 or 43 of C.M. Bay's Clock of Destiny, and you'll understand why. It reads here, it was veiled in mystery, as it is today by the priest. Yet Moses, after all his commandments, made a sad and contradictory mistake in the example he gave by setting up the brazen serpent, by setting up the brazen serpent instead of the molten calf he destroyed. Well, that molten calf he destroyed was represented Hathor or Sabian or the Sabian period. Circle 7, Clock of Destiny. Natural law, don't steal, don't injure anyone. Workshop of the mind. Okay, celestial time cycles, reckoning time and reality by the stars. Cooperation, peace, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The north and south celestial pole region. The more the sun is standing, with his feet representing the South Pole and his head representing the North Celestial Pole. Everyone see that? Moses made a mistake. Moses made a sad and contradictory mistake in the example he gave by setting up the brazen serpent. The brazen serpent, y'all, represents the ecliptic, which is the apparent path of the sun, instead of the molten calf he destroyed. What does it mean by setting up? Moses made a grave mistake by setting up the brazen serpent, by leading the people into the solar zodiac and the solar dogmatic religions. That was a grave mistake he made. Instead of leading the people into the molten calf, leading the people, keeping the people in Sabian time in the circumpolar zodiac. He destroyed the golden calf. He destroyed the Sabian period, according to the author. Is this Jeremiah 8:8? Y'all decide. For after imposing upon the people's superstitions by giving as a literal commandment from him, this is from this is from the Most High, who dwelleth, AL-1, on of course, is the Heliopolis, the city of the sun, the city of the SUN sun, the only capital God, namely that there should not be an image or likeness made of anything, but he made a brazen serpent, right? In heaven above, or the earth beneath, or the waters under the earth, to bow down to or worship. He simply destroyed the bull. He simply destroyed the sign of the bull. He simply destroyed the sign of Hathor, which represented the Sabian period, and gave the entire zodiac or circle of animals. That's the modern solar zodiac, without specifying either. So he brought them into the solar zodiac. Y'all, do y'all see? See, without specifying either, this is misleading and deceptive. Because what he should have said was without specifying the Sabian period, without saying you can choose between the Sabian period or you can choose between this new stuff I got called the solar zodiac. And by the way, we got some solar religions here, and the intent, the purpose is to rob you of your birthright and to rob you of your mind and your physical body and make you a perpetual bondman or bondwoman. That's what he didn't tell. Okay, this is what the author is talking about. Okay, so Moses simply destroyed the sign of the bull. Moses simply destroyed the Sabian period and gave the entire solar zodiac or circle of animals, zoology, kingdom, animal kingdom, Matthew 6 chapter, Matthew 9 chapter, Matthew chapter 6 verse 9 and 10. 6 and 9. Does everyone understand that? This is what? The Hermetic law of gender. So now we're back at the Great Mother Typhoon. It's clear? All right. So he led the people into the solar zodiac and the solar religions, right? Perfect rulership. The sun is one. JC, the Christ figure, the Messiah, represents the sun. The 12 constellations represent the apostles, or the apostles represent the 12 constellations. 13, okay? So Jesus and his brothers, his apostles, ruling God's kingdom of animals, exerting complete and unchallenged and unchallengeable authority over every living thing moving upon the earth, including you, your mind, and your physical body. Got you in bondage. Mark chapter 4, verse 12. Still, Moses continued the cherubim because they are fixed and unalterable. Absolutely, they're fixed and unalterable because they don't want you thinking beyond Taurus. See, Taurus is when the Sabian period ends and the solar period begins. Only they hid the Sabian period and told you that it represents the zodiacal age of Taurus. Okay? They already had set up, like the author told us, they already had set up the temple of Ram Isis, right? Or the worship of the ram. That was on the couple page. That was what one. That was a page before this one earlier in the video that we talked about. Okay, y'all. So now, the Catholic Church. Oops. Still, Moses continued the cherubim because they are fixed and unalterable signs. See that? Unalterable. You are not allowed to even get a concept in your mind of anything happening before the zodiacal age of Taurus. For emphasis, because that's the Sabian period. Sabian period, darkness. Darkness is pure light. Y'all got that? Darkness is eternal. Darkness is consciousness. Darkness is consciousness. Close your eyes, and you'll find that out really quickly. Which leads me back. I'm going to stop here and go to CM Bay Page, excuse me, 18, volume, I think this is volume 1. Page 18, volume 1, I believe. Hold on, let me get my stuff straight. Yeah, I think it's volume 1. Page 18, volume 1. The code of mathematics scaling from 0 to 9 and 3, 6, 9, and 12 constitute the ever-present code of law, which never grows old or ancient. Y'all remember I went through this earlier. Neither earth, water, air, and heat, light, or electricity will ever grow old or ancient. Neither woman, sons, and their letters of the alphabet will ever grow old or ancient, the whole of which comprise the one great body of the ever-present living truth, therefore is not a mystery and neither a secret. Do you agree? Y'all, we are talking, this is, in my opinion, talking about Sabian time and reality, or the Sabian period. Circle 7, clock of destiny. Natural law, don't steal, don't injure anyone. The workshop of the mind, where we go in and we bend reality, we mold and craft reality to make it what we want. Okay? Reckoning time and reality by the stars and the workshop of our mind. This science, we're going to get into that, right? Remember the circle, 360 degrees, the triangle, the square, and the polygons, pi, radius, and area. Okay, these are the mysteries. Before the mysteries, the dogmatic religious mysteries, okay? We are talking right now about the origin of the concept of God. And it was the Solarites in infamy who brought out this concept of a God. It is nothing for us to be proud of. All secret orderisms involving religions, symbolism, and mystic password isms are our own ignorance of the realities which dwell within us and about us. This is consciousness and who I self law and master, including this circle that our ancestors called the universe when they drew a boundary around that which was boundless, where everything that is resides within that circle. And the center of the circle is the North Celestial Pole. Okay? And its points are 0, 0. It has a radius, it has a diameter, it has a circumference, it has an area. Okay? And it is the misunderstanding out of ignorance and the intentional, I'm talking about the hybrids. I'm not talking about the Solarites, because the Solarites, they knew. And the intentional weaponization of the equations, of the equation of a circle, the equation of finding the area of a circle, and the radius. It's as simple as that. Ra, radius, area, Ra, capital R, capital A, remixed into capital R, lowercase a, Ra, sun god. I did a post about this today. I'll share it in a second, but let's continue. That which individuals have in their minds unexpressed is a secret. That which individuals have in their minds unexpressed is a secret rather. Having expressed to another that in the mind, in other words, the having expressed, having described and defined a circle mathematically and visually, this is no secret now. Unless what, y'all? Unless you steal it and hide it, disguise it, put it in a mystery school, disguise it. Don't tell anyone that this is the origin of the concept of capital God. Having expressed to another that in mind, then the great secret has been exposed to the outer world. Absolutely. Only way you can make it a secret is what? By dumbing everybody down through extermination, through genocide, and then keeping this stuff secret and only revealing it in mystery schools. Okay? Why is it called a mystery? Because they didn't understand. I'm talking about the hybrids. The hybrids didn't understand the math, but the Solarites did. All right? Let's continue. Next paragraph. The inner world is our universal subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is responsible for what, y'all? Growth and development, right? Our bodies mature, we grow. We grow physically, we grow intellectually, right? So this is the feminine function of the law of gender, the Hermetic law of gender, the Great Mother Typhoon. But overall, it's what? The Hermetic law of gender. Remember, it is masculine and feminine. Okay? So the inner world is our universal subconscious mind, which dictates to our reasoning mind. I think that's common knowledge these days, right? Thus, our subconscious mind is the inner world referred to as the quote unquote all seeing eye. Y'all know on the dollar bill, you see the all seeing eye in the capstone of the pyramid, and it's what? Detached from the other part of the pyramid. So, what is this representing? Your mind has been detached, right? The conscious mind has been detached from the subconscious mind. And who is Christ? Christ is the capstone, is the chief cornerstone. Christ, therefore, is the all seeing eye, is feminine energy, right? Feminine energy, gender, feminine gender, a gender, hermetic gender energy. He continues, uh, our reasoning mind is the outer world. Our reasoning mind, this is the analytical mind, so the left hemisphere, the subconscious mind, we refer to the right hemisphere, okay? Our reasoning mind is referred to as quote unquote the light of the world. Didn't JC say he's the truth and the light? Some translations will say truth and the life. All of which derive from woman. There you go, y'all. The creator of all sons, SONS, in the course of 9 months. From conception to birth, thus, woman, the great mother Typhoon, is the grand master architect and the carpenter of the human body or the body of man, body and mind. Because remember, consciousness is the first hermetic law, the law of mentalism, and the second most powerful entity or law is gender. Everyone see that? Which makes all ones, which makes all ones, which makes everyone. Muslims. So that means even if you're a hybrid, you are a Muslim. Why? Because you're conceived in a womb. The baby came out, a more or a hybrid. That's not it. It's a conception. Okay, it is the conception, the fetus, and the baby come out that makes you a Muslim. All male babies are sons of 9 months from conception to birth. So all males would refer to the hybrids, and all masculine babies would refer to autochthonous Moors, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, where the male would be Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. In Christian mythology, the number 9 has many names, most common of which are Nin, Nim, Nimrod, Nimrud, and quote unquote non-Catholicism. All right. I'm going to go one more paragraph. So this is under the subheading, every child is born on the square. Remember, a square is 90-degree angle, and the circle, 360-degree, draw a vertical and a horizontal line, 90-degree angle. The 4 areas that we talked about, right? Those 4 quadrants. So every child is born on the square, an angle of 90 degrees. Now remember, this square is in the North Celestial Pole region, where we have the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, which are the arms, or hands rather, of the genitrix, the hands of the mother of us all, the hands of the celestial womb. Is it clear? The term Muslim implies the works of nature involving the human body, so let's correct that, the body of man, and the Han Uman and the human, from conception to birth, or the right angle motion or square of 90 degrees. The great circle of the earth comprises 360 degrees squared by the number 9. 9 goes into 360 40 times, 40 times. This is the number 40, quote unquote. This is the number 40, which involves the Christian order of the clannish society. So this is a Ku Klux Klan of the Lily. So I'm going to leave it there. Okay. So that's all I want to do with that. And it looks like I'm out of time. But let's go back to the Celestial Ship of the North, page 166. How much time do I have? I don't have a lot of time, but let's make it do what it do. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so let's go back to Adonai Jah. This is where it started. Well, it didn't start, but it started the paragraph above. Let me read we've been going. Let me read this. I'm not going to do commenting. I'm just going to read the paragraph, okay? I'm going to start at the top of page 166. So in case you came in, it'll be more easy for you to know where we're at. But let me bring it full circle. The cherubim or cherubs were esoterically identical with the seraphim, being images or likenesses of the celestial constellations. This is where we brought in Draco, right? And others, of course, the Big Dipper, Little Dipper, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, and others, quote unquote, the heavenly host or cosmic angels, and having exquisite knowledge. It is said of the seraphim that they know most, but the cherubim love most. Cruden, in his concordance, interprets the word cherub as meaning in Hebrew, quote unquote, the fullness of knowledge. And angels are so called from their exquisite knowledge, and were therefore used for the punishment of men who sinned by affecting divine knowledge, end quote. Cherubim has the meaning of a serpent in a circle. That's Draco, right? CR is circle, and AUB is serpent. So cherub, CHERUB. In this case, is spelled CRAUB. Okay? Next paragraph. Adonai, Jah, the Hebrew El or Lord, has a biblical connection with the cherubim, as the Lord of Israel is spoken of as dwelling between the cherubim and the ark that was in the midst of them. This was the ark, that point of covenant between heaven and earth, the constellation of the thigh, today called the Big Dipper, y'all, known as the ship of the north, the holy of holies of all eternity. So this is the ark. This is the celestial ship of the north sailing over the abyss or the celestial waters, okay, at the North Pole, North Celestial Pole. All right. So next paragraph. A note, it says Holy of Holies. So are you saying who you are? Clement Alexander thought it likely that the two cherubs were originally, listen y'all, the constellations of the two bears, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, the Great Bear, and the Lesser Bear. They're found as solar cherubs, and at a later period, as the two beetles. Did y'all hear that? And at a later period, this is during the solar period, the solar zodiac. So the two cherubs that Clement Alexander said were originally the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper becomes in the solar zodiac the two beetles or scarabs, which formerly symbolized the zodiacal sign Cancer. So why? Because see, the scarab or the beetle, it rolls its dung up a hill. Okay, and this is representative of the sun's motion, right? The sun ascends, it reaches its highest point, okay, in the north part of the sky, then it descends. So in the fall at the East Gate, March 22nd, in Aries or whatever zodiac sign, right ascension or the first, when spring, whatever zodiacal age we're in, the sun will rise and then it'll fall. So in the morning, the sun rises. In the afternoon, it reaches its peak, and then it falls. It becomes night on an annual basis. The sun rises in the springtime, right? It goes through summer, reaches its peak at June 22nd, the summer solstice, and then it begins to fall into autumn. So the dung beetle or the scarab rolls its egg up that hill, representing the rise and the fall of the sun on a 24-hour basis and on an annual basis. All right, y'all. So they remix that physical reality from the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper in the North Celestial Pole region. Okay, so they are found as solar cherubs, and at a later period as the two beetles or scarabs, which formerly symbolized the zodiacal sign Cancer. All right, y'all. Quote unquote, these two beetles were figured in an ark. So that would be a ship, right? So they're further plagiarizing or drawing parallels from the Sabian period or the circumpolar zodiac, okay, and then applying it in the solar zodiac. This is just remixing it, okay? Facing each other with wings outspread. Wow. End quote. Josephus declares that Moses had seen these cherubs beneath the throne of God. Of course, the throne of God is the north celestial pole, which astrologically represented the North Pole. Well, there you have it. Okay. All right. So the throne of God astrologically represents the North celestial pole, under which are two constellations of the bears, the great bear and the lesser bear, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. The Beatles were the Transformers. There was a quote unquote gate that opened one way for the descent of the sun. So, what is this talking about? So, this gate that opens for the descent of the sun, they're comparing that to what, y'all? The celestial womb in the north. The four corners that make up the dipper of the Big Dipper. This is the celestial womb. Okay? The genetrix, or the gynomatrix, rather. All right? Where we Moors who originate in the second star of the handle of the Big Dipper called Mizar. Okay, so the thought travels from Mizar through those four stars that make up the Dipper, which is the celestial womb. The thought travels into uh, the terrestrial area interacts with the soil, and thought becomes clothed with flesh through its interaction with the soil. So therefore, man is thought made manifest from the soil, and therefore man, Genesis chapter 2, autochthonous man, Sabian, uh, Canaanite, Kemet, Canaanite, Kemite, Moab, Israelites. See, all of these are autochthonous Moors. These are the heir apparents to all land, all resources, all contract, everything. Unfortunately for the hybrid, it has no birthright whatsoever. This is why in law, it is a well established principle in law, it's a maximum of law, that land and law are inseparable. Look up land in a law dictionary like the Black's Law Dictionary. You'll see that one of the meanings of land is Moor. Moors, Moors. We are Moors. Therefore, land and Moors are inseparable. Land and law are inseparable. Therefore, land is the substance and subject matter of the law. Therefore, Moors are the substance and subject matter of the law. And this is why they robbed you of your nationality and continue to hide it. Because the Moor is the substance and subject matter of the law. Look at the preamble of the organic constitution. The people ordained the constitution and gave it its power. You cannot give what you don't have. Okay? Gave it because we have it inherently within us. The executive power, the legislative power, and the judicial power, which is why in the 10th Amendment, these rights are reserved for the people, the autochthonous Moors. And when we get into this, we get into also the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the United States of North America and the Moroccan Empire, and consular jurisdiction, and the trust, our birthright, and commerce. But I don't have time to go into all of that right now. Hold on. Because I have to wrap it up because this place is going to close soon. Okay, y'all, so let's keep it going. So the Beatles were the Transformers. So, do y'all see Transformers? See, what is the Great Mother Typhoon? The Great Mother Typhoon is the Transformer, right? Do y'all see it? The Beatles were the Transformers. There was a quote unquote gate that opened one way for the descent of the SUN sun and afterwards of the souls to the earth. SOULS. No such thing. The Catholics made that up from the Latin word for sun, which is soul, SOL. They slapped a U in it so that SOL gets remixed into SOUL and monetized it by teaching, well, you can't even say teaching, through torture and fear tactics. Let's just call it for what it is, through terrorism. They brought this deceptive notion of a SOUL in on the people and monetized it and used it to rob them of whatever gold, silver, and land, whatever property they have or had. They used it to rob them. Okay, you need to pay to get into purgatory and out of hell, or to get out of purgatory and into heaven. Okay, y'all? All right. So the lower of the two regions. The other way was being the outlet to the land of eternal birth. In the originating in that wonderful birthplace, the celestial north, home of the ancient mother typhoon. In Inner Africa, the symbols of these types of the primal Typhonian cult still remain extant in primitive form as they obtained previous to the imagination down the valley of the Nile, which initiated the civilization of Egypt itself. What are we saying here? I'm gonna tell you how I understand that. When they destroyed the Sabian period, they took over Egypt, what we know as Egypt today, and they solarized it. That's all. Were the pyramids there? Probably yes. Probably yes. But what did they do? They made it into big cities. Big cities. Huge, a huge urban area, hence civilization, instead of agricultural life where everyone's living on the farm. You got your land, I got my land. We live in harmony. They cattled people into huge urban areas, okay, and came up with all kind of rules and stuff like that on how you needed to behave in an urban area, which of course is unnatural, right? The mapping out of the heavens, the measuring of time, and the revolution of stars was conceived by the ancients for purposes of practical usage and human guidance, or guidance of man, or navigation, right? Their observations became facts and were recorded in their astronomical mythology. They observed and connoted with great accuracy the motions of the sun, moon, and stars. Well, before they did that, y'all, they observed the motions of the celestial North Pole and the celestial South Pole, which takes us back to the original topic, the circle, the mathematics of a circle. So hopefully I got some time to do this. Hold on. So let me, I'm going to start off by showing you guys a post Hold on. It's a post I did earlier today. So I'm going to let this video play. Y'all watch it. I hope they don't give me a strike, but
hey guys, I'm pretty excited about this one. You know the 3, 4, 5 triangles that we see everywhere? 3, 4, 5 triangles show up all over the place in the SAT and high school geometry courses. Even construction workers use 3, 4, 5 triangles to make sure that rooms are built square. But there's something else special about 3, 4, 5 triangles, and I genuinely think this is going to blow some people's minds. If you inscribe a circle inside of any of those 3, 4, 5 triangles, guess what the area of this circle is? It's exactly pi, or pi units squared. Do you want to see the math? First, let's find the center of this circle. And from the center to this point of tangency, let's draw a radius. And let's do the same thing for this point of tangency. The radius will always be at right angles to the tangent line. And same thing for this one to this tangent line. And this forms a quadrilateral. And since we have 3 right angles, the fourth one has to also be a right angle. We have 2 adjacent sides congruent. That means this whole quadrilateral is a square. So this side will also be R, and this side will also be R. This entire side is 3, and this portion is R. This last piece is going to be 3 minus R. And the same thing here, this base has a length of 4, and this portion of it is R, which means the remaining part is going to be 4 minus R. Now let's gray out everything except for the circle and these 2 tangent lines. If you have the intersection of 2 tangent lines of a circle, the distance from here to here is equal to the distance from here to here. So this will also be 3 minus R. And same thing down here. These 2 tangent lines are intersecting at this point, which means this is going to have the same distance as this. So this will also be 4 minus R. And let's focus on the hypotenuse. We have this portion here, which is 3 minus R, plus this portion here, which is 4 minus R, and that's all going to be equal to the whole thing, which was 5. Now we can solve for R. Let's subtract 3 from both sides, and let's subtract 4 from both sides. These 3's will cancel each other out, these 4's will cancel each other out, and we have negative R minus R, which is negative 2R. And then to figure out the right-hand side, we can combine the negative 3 minus 4 to get negative 7, and 5 minus 7 is negative 2. Now to solve for R, we can divide both sides by negative 2, and that gives us our radius equal to 1. And this is definitely important.
Hold on,
Let's
y'all.
put a box around it.
I should have changed the orientation. Hold on.
So now let's clean up this triangle. Let's bring it back to the 3, 4, 5 triangle. And
Hold
we're
on,
going to
y'all.
find the area of the minus R. And let's focus on the hypotenuse. We have this portion here, which is 3 minus R, plus this portion here, which is 4 minus R. And that's all going to be equal to the whole thing, which was 5. Now we can solve for R. Let's subtract 3 from part is going to be 4 minus R. Now let's gray out everything except for the circle and these 2 tangent lines. If you have the intersection of 2 tangent lines of a circle, the distance from here to here is equal to the distance from here to here. So this will also be 3 minus R. And same thing down here. These 2 tangent lines are intersecting at this point, which means this is going to have the same distance as this. So this will also be 4 minus R. And let's focus on the hypotenuse. We have this portion here, which is 3 minus R, plus this portion here, which is 4 minus R, and that's all going to be equal to the whole thing, which was 5. Now we can solve for R. Let's subtract 3 from both sides, and let's subtract 4 from both sides. These 3's will cancel each other out, these 4's will cancel each other out, and we have negative R minus R, which is negative 2R. And then to figure out the right-hand side, we can combine the negative 3 minus 4 to get negative 7, and 5 minus 7 is negative 2. Now to solve for R, we can divide both sides by negative 2, and that gives us our radius equal to 1. And this is definitely important. Let's put a box around it. So now let's clean up this triangle. Let's bring it back to the 3, 4, 5 triangle. And we want to find the area of the inscribed circle of this 3, 4, 5 triangle. Well, the area of a circle is pi r squared. And then we can plug in 1 for this r, and then 1 squared is just 1, and then multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything. So we know that the area of this circle is equal to pi. And this is true for every 3, 4, 5 triangle. How exciting.
Y'all got that? So radius R, area A, Ra. Okay, so the mathematics here was remixed into a solar deity called Ra, capital R-A. Okay, so So you can y'all subscribe to his video. I put the link in the post. So you guys subscribe to his video, please. Subscribe to his channel rather. And let me find. I hope I can get this. Hold on. So here's my post. Shamefully, our ancient Solarite ancestors, the Osirians, gave the world its first concept of God in their rebellion against the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, the Sabians, who are Kemites, Moabites, Hamites, Israelites, Moors, etc. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, y'all. Which was and is, this is the mindset, is circle 7, clock of destiny, natural law, don't steal, reckoning or reckon time and reality by the stars in the workshop of the mind. The Solarites gave the world its first concept of God by hold on, oops, hold on, y'all. Let me remove this. Wait, doggone it. Give me 1 second, y'all. Be patient, please. So the Solarites gave the world its first concept of God by remixing the concepts of the mathematical equations of a circle that our ancestors conceptualized to define and describe the physical universe into an external solar god where radius, capital R, and area, capital A, or R, capital A, figured prominently. Now remember, y'all, the East gay, right ascension. Everybody see that? All right. What's right ascension? Aries the ram, the Lamb of God. And JC, the Christ figure, is the Lamb of God. So here's how the Solarites twisted our culture of science, technology, and mathematics. So science, technology, engineering, right? The language of which is mathematics, to disgracefully create the first concept of God for the purpose of robbing us and our ancestors of their birthrights and to put us in perpetual bondage. So here we go. So 1, the radius of a circle, capital R. 2, the area of a circle, capital A. 3, radius and area above were combined to form capital A, capital R, capital A, Ra, and then remixed into capital A, lowercase a, which means the SUN sun. 4, Ra, capital R, lowercase a, which means the sun was remixed into God. And these solar gods are Osiris, Amen, Amen. That's a typo right there. I don't know how that happened. And of course, there's others, right? Like Jupiter, etc. Many solar gods. They're like 16 or 17. Thus, the true origin of the concept of God is the radius and area of a circle. Okay, and we know that it was the discovery or the usage of pi that helped our ancestors to um, come up with the equations of a circle. So let's continue. I think this is the last paragraph. Our ancient ancestors used 3, 4, 5 triangles with the circle inscribed in the middle, like we saw in the video, to mathematically describe the relationship between the area, capital A, of a circle and its radius and diameter and circumference. Okay, so A, area, radius R, D, diameter, C, circumference. This led to the discovery of the Pythagoras theorem, Of course, that's not Greek, y'all. That's much, much older than. There was no. I mean, the Greeks were still in the caves if they even existed, right? Remember, we're talking about Han Uman, okay? So actually, they didn't. They had not even existed at that point. So this led to the discovery of Pythagoras' theorem, pi, which equals 3.1415, the equation of a circle, and other algebraic and geometrical equations. So remember, C.M. Bay talked about the code of law, the number system scaling from 0 to 9. Okay, it never grows old. Okay, all right, and other algebraic and geometrical equations, in addition to discoveries involving systems. Hold on, y'all. This guy left the door open. Hold on. Can you close the things? Hold on. Okay, so this led to the discovery of Pythagoras' theorem, pi equals 3.14, the equation of a circle, and other algebraic and geometrical equations, in addition to discoveries involving systems, that's the universe, equilibrium, forces, the Hermetic law of polarity or law of opposites, and others. Okay, so watch this video. So y'all, if y'all want to see the video again, here's the link to that video. Subscribe to the man's channel. And here are some page references for you to consider that relates to this information that C.M. Bay gave us, okay? So the Zodiac Constitution, page 1. C.M. Bay's Clock of Destiny, volume 1, page 1, 7, 18, 36, and 39 through 43. And then Clock of Destiny, volume 2, page 1, 2, 13, 23 through 25, 33, 35 through 37, and 45. Assalamu alaikum, Islam to all the Moors. I, Self, Law, and Master Shalawama. Y'all like and share the video. Let me go through these. Let me take a look at the comments. Oh, Temple of Light Sage writes, say fair use when using. Okay, so fair use for the video. The video was for educational purposes. The channel is not monetized, right? So don't strike the video. All right. So you guys look at the video, critique it for yourself. Put your comments. Let me know what you think, what your critique is. Put it in the comment section. I appreciate that, Temple of the Light Sage. Much, much appreciated. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, Islam to all the Moors. Thanks, y'all, for joining me.